Testing 1, 2, 3. Let's close that up. All right, cool. Hello, everybody. Hope that you are having a good week. Let's actually do, for these few seconds, a recap of last week. Okay, so the review of The Empty Man was supposed to go out last week. Did not happen. All right, so The Empty Man, I'm working on it right after this. It is almost done, so that will be dropping here fairly soon. I would say give it maybe 2 hours. And you know what? If that doesn't end up happening, then it's definitely going to be early in the morning. So if you haven't seen that review, that's whenever it's going to drop. So thank you for everyone who's been very patient with the channel. And yeah, that will definitely be up very soon. So before we dive into everything that we're talking about today, first of all, little bits of news that's been trickling out. Scarlett Johansson, it turns out, wanted $100 million for being Black Widow before she actually sued Disney. I find that pretty, I don't know actually how I find that. I don't know if that is important at all. I find like, I feel like if you want to get your money, go ahead, get your money. But also from everything that we've heard about that, still have not gotten any big updates. I don't think that she's going to be seeing anything from that lawsuit. Then another article that came out, Dune's Rotten Tomatoes score hides how positive the reviews actually are. I mean, that's an exciting one. I don't know how the marketing is going to play out with Dune because of everything that's been going on. That's another very weird story, but I mean, we'll see how it plays out in the month of October. Christopher Nolan right now is talking to several different studios about a World War II film that he wants to make about J. Robert Oppenheimer. That one is very exciting. I have always been fascinated just about the creation, of that time, the experimentation of the atomic bombs and things like that. And Christopher Nolan putting his own scale into a story like that. I was always curious about what was going to happen if Christopher Nolan did his Howard Hughes biopic. Never happened. Martin Scorsese got there first. I loved The Aviator, but we'll see what happens with that. And okay, another really, I don't know how to feel about this one. Paul Thomas Anderson, his movie that he was going to come out with later this year was called Soggy Bottoms originally. Weird, like very strange. But, and it was going to be kind of like a Punch Drunk Love type of feeling. It was going to be kind of a more of an Inherent Vice type of feeling. And now it turns out it's not called Soggy Bottoms. It's called Licorice Pizza. So if you're watching and you're a Paul Thomas Anderson fan, are you excited about this new movie? Does that sound bizarre? I feel like it sounds a little bit bizarre. We'll see how that goes. Apparently a trailer's supposed to be coming up very soon. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. But now let's get to why it is that, movie theaters are in fact important. And we need to kind of be acting as if we give a damn about them. Particularly movie studios. So last Friday, to catch everyone up, what we were saying, we were getting more and more movie delays. Venom was being pushed back. Jackass 4 was being pushed back. 2 Tom Cruise movies, Top Gun Maverick and Mission Impossible, being massively pushed back. Top Gun was being moved from November of this year to middle of May of last year. They moved Mission Impossible an entire 5 or 6 months all the way to November of 2022. And so everything was also being predicated on simultaneous releases. For the last year, anything anyone has been able to talk about throughout the industry, simultaneous releases. Everything is going to be a simultaneous release. And I think the question underneath all of that, that kind of was part of the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit, was, is any of this helping at all? Is it hurting at all? Are we torpedoing the one thing that we're supposed to be taking care of, or are we venturing off into a new and future part of this industry that's just inevitably what has to happen, and movie theaters are going to die the way Blockbuster dies? So last week, a lot was being predicated on how the new Marvel movie Shang-Chi was going to do. They were saying that last weekend, this was going to be the first time with Shang-Chi that Disney really was going to release a movie, and it was not going to be a day-and-day release. If you think about the Scarlett Johansson Black Widow movie, that was always kind of like a side story. Like, you could kind of put that out, do day-and-day release, have people watch it. It's not really like an important part of the MCU storylines. But they didn't make a day-and-day release. You had to actually go to the theater. You actually had to watch it if you wanted to be a part of that experience. And the result they were saying it not okay. I think if it had made $80 million at least, then the rest of Disney's schedule, I think they would have had to have a serious conversation of, are we going to pull back on these day and day releases because they're not hyping people up about anything. They're keeping people at home. They're kind of decreasing the value of what it is that they're doing. And, if it didn't do well, then that was going to be a domino effect. And we were probably going to see Dune be pushed back. We were going to see James Bond be pushed back again. And again, last week, they continued every single article. It was nothing. Every studio continued their excuses that were saying that the poor form that we were seeing in their performances were because of the pandemic, which I, in the last few months, have just not bought into. I am in New York City, bars, nightclubs, vintage movie theaters that are more often than not filled with old people, are always packed. And I also regularly go see movies at AMC, and there's like 4 or 5 of them around here. And I've been to 3 of them in the last month and a half. They are always ghost towns. They are just all, compared to even the other older movie theaters, they are total ghost towns. So I do not buy into movie theaters are dying because of only the pandemic, because there are tons of other venues exactly like it that do really, really well. And I think it has more to do with how and what is being put out for audiences instead of when it's being put out for audiences. So did things get better? Last weekend, Shang-Chi performed incredibly well, not just in pandemic standards. It performed well compared to Labor Day weekend figures. Okay, normally you do not get a lot of money on this weekend, even when you aren't in a pandemic. But Shang-Chi did so well. It made $90 million at home, $140 million worldwide. It broke the Labor Day weekend. The number one movie had been Rob Zombie's Halloween, and it had held the box office spot for that weekend for the last 14 years. And now it broke it. He even gave like a nice little send off saying, great job, buddy. But I think what this shows, and in fact, also in the wake of that, Venom has now been moved up. Disney now has said, they haven't officially said it, but one of those kind of like, we'll see what happens articles. Executives at Disney have now said that they're going to be releasing the Eternals. They're going to be releasing the Eternals, the Chloe Zhao movie, only in theaters. I would say wait until Monday or Tuesday to hear that officially, but that seems like what's going to happen. So I think that movie theaters, movie studios specifically, need to stop playing chicken. They need to man up. They need to realize that the way that they behave is what is actually shaping the entertainment industry. It's not the audience. It is not the audience. And you can't blame the audience because everyone is now used to just staying at home. Everyone is used to staying at home. If you put something on TV, they're going to watch it on TV. It is so much easier to be at home, wearing your sweats, finishing dinner, putting everything away, and then just watching something on TV. And then if you're going to go out, do something outside during the weekend, you have to actually make people want to go to the movies. And you don't just get to live in all of this hype. You actually have to sustain it. And movie theaters, if you keep putting things on people's TVs, you're not going to sustain it. And it's not the audience's job to give you exclusivity. It's your job to create the exclusivity. So if you put movies, if you put your content in the theater and you don't put it on TV, then whenever you have things like Venom, whenever you have things like James Bond, and it's happening right now with the way that people are responding to Shang-Chi, the Marvel movie, there is already a competition in terms of what are people going to go see. Right now, Bond and Venom are fighting over who is going to get the better screens. And whoever wins that is going to make more money because it's going to be exclusive. It is not about people being scared. These movies are willing to make money. People are willing to go to the theaters, but people that release the movies have to treat them with a certain level of respect. We can't keep doing the putting things on TV and also putting things in the theater and hoping that people will just choose the theater. People do not owe movie theaters and movie studios anything. If you want to entertain people, be entertaining, make people feel like there's a reason to go out and watch something. And there's not a reason to go out and watch something if you give it to them at home. It's just, it's on the studio. It's not on the audience. And there's been a lot of anger. I think there's going to be increasing anger over the next few weeks about Dune and about the Sopranos prequel. And eventually, hopefully about Matrix too, because that's really the big one. Like, I think we're hoping that Dune is going to do well. And I think the Sopranos prequel, obviously, I mean, millions of people love the Sopranos. So, but the Sopranos audience is more of a TV audience. If it's going to be at home, people will watch it at home. But I think if you make that, okay, Everyone knows that Denis Villeneuve is pissed off about Dune. That is a huge movie. Years and years of work of hundreds and hundreds of people have put so much labor into that thing. For it to not be in the theater is a bigger insult than most types of movies. So it makes sense that they're upset. It's been designed to be seen in a theater. The Sopranos prequel, that the story for that is so old, and I'm talking, I know that Dune is old too. I mean old in terms of the way that the audience lives with these characters is on the screen. Like, this is a story that has lived on screen. We grew up with these characters on TV, so it's been a TV medium, and it's lived in the TV medium, and now they have designed it to be on the big screen. And the fact that you're going to go and see The Sopranos on the big screen, and the fact that that's exciting, means letting it live on the big screen is a big deal. And yeah, it makes total sense that the people behind the Sopranos prequel are pissed off about that. And I think if they continue to push for it to not be on HBO Max, and if movies start making more money, movies start making more money in the theater, then maybe the studios will give. Although I think the studios need to have a little bit more integrity and a little more respect for the actual product to put it out where it's deserved, because that is what's going to grow people's interest. And I think that Matrix 4 is going to be the one. I think the reason that they want to, even if they lose some money, do it with Dune, do it with Sopranos, is because it will show that people are interested. And then with Matrix, that one is Matrix Resurrection. That one I think really needs to be in the theaters. I think that the reason that movies are important, the reason that movies matter, are because they've only been around for 8 generations. Movies have only been around since the Lost generation, which is like from 1883 to like the mid 1920s. Like that's my grandparents' grandparents. Like, sure, okay, that's a long time, but for an art form, that's pretty damn new. And in terms of art, at least, that's not a long time at all. And in terms of what movies do, the scale of connection that it makes is a huge audience, and it connects with people at such a deep level with such vivid emotional connection across such a huge audience, and it reaches people through their senses, like in the same way that you would get with food or with music, especially. Like it works with the brain just the exact same way that music does, but it also hits your like cognitive learning in terms of literature and theater. So it just grasps huge audiences in a way that no other art form does. And the theater is the ultimate experience for that. And home theaters are great. Home theaters, TVs are a great, convenient way to experience movies and stories on the screen and get that taste of the big theater experience at home. Like, of course, that's incredible. That's how most of us watch movies. But the scale compared is just so minute, and it's the amount of distractions that you have when you're watching something at home. It's not the same thing at all. You're not connecting with the artwork in nearly the same way. And throwing out theaters would be like saying that we're just throwing out hard books. Hard books, like hardcover books, are they're too expensive to make. We're just not going to do it anymore. We can make more paperback copies, and it'll make people want to read more. It'll make it more convenient for people because they can fit it in their blah. No, that's stupid. To say that it's a bygone era, I think totally disregards the importance of why we need movies and the connection that they establish with people and with huge crowds. So I think that if studios don't have respect for theaters, then they're not going to push for this anymore. I think that it's a shame that money is the thing that's going to have to, it's going to have to be the breadcrumbs that bring the studios back to putting their movies in the theater. If that's what has to happen, then fine, that's what has to happen. And thank you, Disney, for doing that. But still, if they had integrity, I think that they would decide when we have movies like, hey, we've done it with Candyman now. The big one is we've done it with Marvel. Just keep putting movies out in the theaters and don't give people the option to watch it at home. If people want to watch it at home, let them know. Look, if you really want to be at home that badly, you'll get it in 2 months. And if you want to watch it that badly, then you do care about the movie experience and you'll go and watch it. Otherwise, wait a little bit, because that's the point. That's the point of why we go to the movies, because we want to have a connection with tons of people. That being said, this weekend, The Card Counter, the new Paul Schrader movie, executive produced by Martin Scorsese and with Oscar Isaac and Tiffany Haddish, is coming out. It's out today. I am hopefully going to go see it sometime this weekend. And I would suggest you go see it as well. The reviews are great. And at this point, I think going to the movies, for anyone that likes movies, anyone that especially loves movies, go to the theater. Go watch a movie at the theater. If a movie is coming out, the big movies, whenever they come out, I think it is worth it. It is probably even just an act of charity at this point. Go buy a ticket. If you don't want to watch the movie, just walk away from it. Just do everything that you can to tell people at the studios that they have to bring movies back to the theater, and just stop with the damn day and day releases. It's not helping you. You're getting subscribers, but in the long run, it's a terrible strategy. It's not helping the movies. And the more franchises you put out there like that, the more you're just devaluing your own franchises. So today on 5 Minute Critic, please do subscribe. The Empty Man is either coming out today or tomorrow. Next week will be the much longer. Actually, I have actually been thinking about this. It's called 5 Minute Critic, but there are going to be a few reviews that are going over 5 minutes, just because I've been digging a bit deeper into why it is that I do or don't like certain movies, and it kind of 5 minutes just can't get it. But for at least the next few weeks, they're going to be longer than 5 minutes. So bear with me while those next reviews come out. I hope everyone has had a great week, and I will see you in a few days, and then I'll see you this time next week for the weekly movie update. So thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe for future updates on reviews and movie news.